Have you ever met someone who pretends to love you but secretly drains your energy, controls your emotions, and leaves you feeling small? Yeah, that's a narcissist. But guess what? You don't need to scream, fight, or even lay a finger to defeat them. In fact, the most powerful revenge is silence. Today, I'm going to show you something truly powerful, how a chosen one like you can crush a narcissist without even touching them. Yes, without a single word or action, your energy, your peace, your growth can destroy their entire fake world. Sounds crazy? Stay with me. You see, narcissists thrive on attention, drama, and control, but when you refuse to give them your energy, when you walk away and level up in silence, it drives them absolutely insane. This isn't just about ignoring someone, it's about stepping into your spiritual power, your true identity, and shining so bright that their shadows have no place to hide. So if you've ever felt used, manipulated, or broken by someone who wore a mask of love but acted with pure ego, this video is for you. And listen, you're not alone in this. Join our powerful community of chosen ones. We support each other, grow together, and remind each other that we're not crazy. We're awake. So hit that like button, drop a comment if this hits your soul, and make sure you stay till the end, because I'm about to show you 9 incredible ways you can destroy a narcissist without even touching them. You don't need revenge, you just need truth, peace, and your light. Let's begin. The silent authority of the chosen one is something powerful that most people don't understand. When a chosen one walks into a room, they don't need to shout, act proud, or try to impress anyone. Their energy speaks louder than words. There is a quiet strength inside them, a calm confidence that makes others notice without even trying. Narcissists, on the other hand, are always loud, always trying to be the center of attention. They need people to look at them, praise them, or fear them. But when a chosen one is around, everything changes. Suddenly the narcissist feels small, not because the chosen one did anything rude or harsh, but simply because they are real. There is something about being calm, focused, and true to yourself that shakes fake people to their core. A chosen one carries truth, light, and peace. And that truth exposes lies without a word. That light makes darkness uncomfortable. That peace becomes a mirror to those who live in chaos. Narcissists sense this, and it bothers them deeply. It's like they are being seen for who they really are, even if the chosen one says nothing at all. Here's the hook. The most powerful people in the world often don't talk much. They listen, they observe, they know who they are, and that knowledge, that deep connection to their purpose, creates a silent authority that no one can fake. That's what makes narcissists so nervous. They can't compete with authenticity. They can't handle someone who isn't playing the same game. When a chosen one stays grounded, honest, and kind without falling into the drama or showing off, it weakens the narcissist's power. Slowly, without arguments or fights, the narcissist loses their grip. The energy shifts. The chosen one becomes untouchable, not because they're trying to win, but because they already have. Their silence is not empty, it's full of strength. And that's the kind of power that cannot be stolen, copied, or destroyed. Narcissists hate boundaries. Why? Because they want to control everything, your thoughts, your time, your energy, and even your emotions. But the moment you say no and mean it, something inside them starts to panic, especially when you don't explain yourself. See, narcissists survive by twisting your words, guilt-tripping you, or making you feel bad for doing what's best for you. But when you calmly say no and walk away without drama, without anger, without giving them any reason, they lose their power. They can't argue with silence. They can't twist what you didn't say. And that drives them absolutely crazy. It's like this. Every time you set a boundary, you're reminding them that they don't own you. You are showing them that your peace matters more than their approval. Narcissists want you to always be available, always explain yourself, always give in. But strong boundaries are like invisible walls, and those walls protect your mind, your heart, and your energy. Narcissists bang against those walls trying to get in, but they can't. And the more you protect your space, the more powerless they feel. This is one of the most powerful ways a chosen one destroys a narcissist, without yelling, without fighting, just by saying no and meaning it. Simple, quiet, powerful. Narcissists love attention, even if it's negative. They want you to react, get angry, cry, defend yourself, or chase after them. That's how they feel powerful. But when you show no emotion, when you stop reacting, when you act,
layers of growth, strength, and self-love. Let them watch. Don't block their view. Let them witness everything they lost when they chose pride over love, ego over truth, manipulation over honesty. Let them feel the weight of your silence, because your absence is louder than your presence ever was. And while they pretend not to care, while they convince others you were crazy or too sensitive or the problem, they know the truth. They know they pushed away someone rare, someone real, someone who only wanted to love and be loved in return. You don't need their validation anymore. You don't need their closure, because your life is speaking for you now. Every achievement, every healed wound, every peaceful breath you take is a testimony. You are the proof that you can survive what tried to destroy you, and not only survive, but thrive. That's your revenge, that's your power, that's your quiet win. So keep shining, keep walking in purpose, keep choosing peace. Let your success be the story they'll never stop reading. Let your light be the truth they'll never unsee. And let your journey be the reminder that real power doesn't scream. It simply exists. It grows, it glows, and it wins. Even when no one is clapping, because in the end, they'll keep watching and you'll keep winning. And that, my friend, is the sweetest justice of all. There's a kind of revenge that doesn't come with shouting, slamming doors, or throwing accusations. It comes in stillness, in silence, in the sacred space of inner peace. That's the final blow. Not anger, not retaliation, but that quiet calm that lives in your soul after you've healed. Narcissists, manipulators, and toxic people can pretend to have everything: money, charm, popularity, but what they'll never own, what they can never fake, is peace. True peace. The kind that doesn't need approval, doesn't need attention, and doesn't chase chaos. That's what you've claimed. That's your final victory. While they live in confusion, restlessness, and fear of being exposed, you've stepped into alignment, and that peace you now carry, it cuts deeper than any insult ever could, because it shows you're free, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. To someone who thrives on drama, your calm is unbearable. They crave reactions. They want to know they still have access to your emotions. But now, you're unbothered, not because you don't remember what they did, but because you're no longer ruled by it. You've transmuted the pain. You've made meaning out of the madness, and that transformation, that peace, is the part they can't touch. It's the part that reveals everything, that their power was always temporary, always borrowed from your kindness. You gave love, you gave chances, you gave energy, and now that you've taken it all back, you're untouchable. Your peace is not passive, it's powerful. They may have tried to destroy your name, your mind, your heart, but they could never touch your soul. And now that your soul is whole again, they have nothing left to hold over you. They may still talk, they may still stalk, they may still spin stories to anyone who'll listen. But inside, they know, they feel it, that something has shifted, that the cord is cut, that the storm they tried to drag you into no longer touches you. And that peace,
That deep, divine peace is like salt in their wounds, because it proves they didn't win. Peace is the loudest flex. It doesn't look like revenge, but it is. It's the kind of victory that doesn't need a stage. You're no longer waiting for apologies or closure. You've become your own closure. You've forgiven, not for them, but for you. You've released the bitterness. And in its place is something sacred: quiet confidence, radiant joy, and the ability to sleep at night with a clean heart. That's something narcissists will never know, because they're always performing, always pretending, always chasing something to fill the emptiness inside. But peace requires honesty. Peace requires accountability. Peace requires healing, and that's a path they refuse to walk. They wanted you bitter, they wanted you broken, they wanted you lost without them. But you've become whole, and not only whole, but wiser, softer, and stronger than ever. You don't need revenge when you have peace. You don't need payback when your life speaks for itself. Your glow is loud, your stillness is loud, your ability to stay grounded while they spiral, loud. And though they'll never admit it, they see it, they feel it, they know they're no longer your storm. You've become their mirror. And peace reflects everything they can't face within themselves. Now you walk different, you speak different, you respond or don't with intention. You guard your energy, you protect your space, you give only to what grows you. That kind of transformation doesn't just happen, it's earned, it's fought for. It comes after nights of crying, questioning, learning, rising, and letting go, in control. But the moment you stop, truly stop, and walk away in peace, they feel it. Not just the silence, but the shift. You're no longer seeking revenge. You're letting life deal with them. And life has a way of balancing the scales. Maybe not on your timeline, maybe not in the way you imagined, but it always comes. And when it does, it's not loud. It's quiet, precise, undeniable. Suddenly, the people who believed their lies begin to see the truth. The mask slips. The very traps they set for you, they fall into themselves. That's karma, not punishment, but reflection. You don't need to watch it happen. You don't need to check their page or listen to rumors. Your job is to stay in alignment, stay focused, stay free, because revenge keeps you tied to the past. But peace moves you forward, and that's what really destroys them. Not your hands, but your absence. Not your anger, but your glow. Not your revenge, but your silence. You let the universe speak for you, and it will. It always does. When you live in truth, when your heart is clean and your hands stay off the situation, you create a spiritual force field around yourself. You rise, and when you rise, the people who tried to hold you down begin to fall, not because you pushed them, but because their energy can't survive where you're going. That's divine justice. That's karma. It's not about wishing them harm. It's about trusting that what you sow, you reap. And narcissists sow chaos. So eventually, that's exactly what they get in return. So breathe, let go. You're not weak for choosing peace. You're powerful. It takes strength to walk away without revenge. It takes wisdom to let God handle what you can't. And it takes faith to believe that the truth will come out without your help. But it always does. Every lie will collapse. Every seed you planted in love will grow. And everything they did to destroy you will become the reason you shine even brighter. Let karma speak louder than you. Let your healing be louder than your hurt. Let your elevation be louder than their destruction. Because when you stop chasing revenge, you become untouchable. And that right there is the justice they never saw coming. They'll never clap for you. They'll never admit they were wrong. They'll never say, "I miss you," or "I was the problem." Instead, they'll watch in silence, hiding behind fake smiles and hollow lives, while you grow into the version of yourself they secretly feared you'd become. The narcissist, the abuser, the one who belittled your dreams, laughed at your pain, and tried to keep you small. They never expected you to rise. They thought you'd break, not bloom. But here you are, healing, evolving, glowing in your truth. And even though they'll never give you the credit, they see you. They check your stories. They scroll through your posts. They listen when your name comes up in conversations. They may act indifferent, but they're keeping tabs on every move you make. Why? Because your progress haunts them. Every step you take forward without them is a reminder that their power over you is gone. See, narcissists thrive on control. It's not just about having you physically around. It's about owning space in your mind, your heart, your energy. When you were down, they felt strong. When you needed them, they felt important. But now, you don't chase, you don't cry, you don't beg. You're focused. You've turned your pain into purpose. And that silent strength, it scares them. Because deep down, they always knew you had it in you. That's why they tried so hard to keep you small. That's why they belittled your goals, mocked your healing, and doubted your growth. Not because you weren't capable, but because they knew you were. And now that you're rising without them, it confirms everything they tried to deny. You never needed them. What hurts them most isn't that you're gone, it's that you're winning. Without revenge, without making a scene, without even mentioning their name. You're building in silence, and that silence is loud. Louder than any insult they threw at you, louder than the gaslighting, louder than the manipulation. They stalk your progress from the shadows, silently hoping you'll stumble, fall, give up. But instead, you rise, not just externally, but internally. Your energy has changed, your peace is louder, your joy is real, your eyes don't hold pain, they hold wisdom. And that's what truly kills them. The version of you that they never had access to is the one the world is falling in love with. And here's the truth, they can't stop watching. They're addicted to your light. They want to see how far you'll go. They replay old messages, old pictures, even old memories, not because they miss the real you, but because they miss the power they once had over you. But you've changed, you've healed, you've upgraded, and the old version of you, the one who accepted crumbs, who over-explained, who made excuses for their behavior, that version is gone, buried under
fake while attracting the real. It's not about isolation, it's about alignment. You're aligning with your higher self, with your divine mission, with everything that feels like home to your spirit. And that invisible wall, it's not a prison, it's a sanctuary, a place where only what's meant for you can enter. So never doubt the power of energetic boundaries. You don't need to scream to be heard. You don't need to fight to win. You just need to stand in your light and let that invisible force field protect everything sacred within you. There's something quietly breathtaking about the way a chosen one heals, not in loud declarations, not by proving anything to anyone, but in silence, in presence, in peace. You don't announce your growth, you simply show up differently. And that's what shatters the narcissist's false sense of power. See, narcissists count on you staying broken. They thrive when you're confused, reactive, lost in pain, needing their validation. But when you start healing right in front of them, yet without saying a word, they feel it like an earthquake beneath their feet. You don't engage, you don't explain, you don't seek their attention anymore. You simply evolve. And that quiet evolution screams louder than any argument ever could. You walk into a room and you're glowing, not because of makeup or clothes, but because you've found your soul again. Your peace speaks, your calm disturbs, because now they can't reach you. Not emotionally, not spiritually. You've detached, you've grown, and the person they once controlled no longer exists. That contrast, the healed you versus the still broken them, is unbearable for their ego. Because while you rise, they're stuck, still spinning in the same toxic patterns, still trying to manipulate people, still hiding behind masks and lies. And the more they watch you shine in silence, the more they feel themselves decaying inside. It's not just jealousy, it's fear, because your healing exposes their stagnation. They may never say it, but they see you. Every post, every peaceful moment, every time you show up glowing without needing to prove anything, it chips away at their delusion of power. Narcissists want you to collapse without them, but when you thrive in their absence, it breaks their illusion. They were never your source, they were a lesson, and now that you've learned, you're walking in wisdom. And nothing burns them more than watching someone they once tried to break become unbreakable. Healing in public doesn't mean performing for anyone. It means living your truth boldly, peacefully, and unapologetically. It means protecting your peace, building your purpose, and creating the life you deserve. Not out of revenge, but out of alignment. You stop looking back. You stop explaining your choices. You simply walk in the light God gave you. And they feel it. Even from far away, they feel the distance between who you are now and who they tried to make you believe you were. That gap, the emotional and spiritual distance, is what destroys them, because it shows them everything they're not willing to become. They may pretend they don't care. They may even try to smear your name or mock your growth, but deep down, they know the truth. You healed, and they didn't. You grew in silence while they stayed, stuck in noise. And that truth? It eats at them, because it proves that their control was never real. It only lasted as long as you stayed unaware of your power. Now that you know, they have nothing left to hold over you, so don't rush to post your progress. Don't argue to prove your growth. Just keep evolving quietly, powerfully, publicly. The people meant for you will feel your healing. The people who lost you will feel your absence. And the narcissist, they'll feel the pain of watching someone they underestimated become someone they can never access again. That's the silent revenge, not through hate, not through drama, but through peace, through joy, through becoming everything they said you'd never be. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey when you realize you don't have to lift a single finger to fight back. You don't have to argue, prove, or seek revenge, because something bigger, something divine, is already at work behind the scenes. When someone hurts you deeply, when a narcissist manipulates, lies, and tries to break you, your first instinct may be to scream your truth, to expose them, to make them feel the pain they caused you. But as you grow, as you heal, you realize karma doesn't need your help. The universe, God, the creator, whatever you call that higher force, sees everything. Nothing done in secret stays hidden forever. And when you truly surrender that need to get even, you make room for something more powerful, divine justice. Narcissists count on your emotional reaction. That's how they keep you tangled in their web. They want you to fight. They want you to chase closure, because as long as you're reacting, they're still.
When a narcissist realizes they've lost control over you, it's like watching a tower crumble in slow motion. At first, they pretend nothing's wrong. They act unbothered, maybe even post on social media to show off how happy they are without you. But inside, they're spiraling. Because control is their oxygen, and your attention was their lifeline. Narcissists don't build love, they build dependency. They train you to seek their approval, react to their moods, and dance around their ego. But when you finally see through it and pull away, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, they panic, not always openly. But the cracks start to show, the charm fades, the mask slips. They begin trying anything to pull you back in, even if it means playing the victim, sending guilt-filled messages, or suddenly becoming nice again. But nothing works because you've awakened. You're not feeding the cycle anymore. You're not responding, explaining, or proving yourself. And that silence is what breaks them. See, a narcissist's biggest fear isn't being alone, it's being irrelevant. When they lose your attention, they lose their mirror, their power, their sense of control. And without that, they feel empty. That's when the collapse begins. They might lash out, blame you, or even smear your name. It's their way of trying to feel powerful again, but deep down, they know they lost the one person who truly saw them. Not the fake version, but the real one, and now that person no longer cares. That's devastating for someone whose identity depends on being in charge of yours. So if you've gone silent, if you've stopped reacting, if you've started healing, know this, you've already won. The collapse you don't see behind their mask is real. Not because you hurt them, but because they no longer own you. And for a narcissist, that's the end of their game. There's a kind of strength that doesn't make noise, doesn't shout, and doesn't show up with drama, but it's powerful beyond measure. It's called an energetic boundary, and when a chosen one learns how to use it, the narcissist starts to feel it, even before they know what it is. You don't need to argue. You don't need to block them on every app or call them out in front of people. Instead, you shift your energy, and that shift becomes your protection. It's like building an invisible wall around your soul. They can't touch it, but they feel it. They feel the cold where your warmth used to be. They feel the distance where your attention used to flow. Narcissists are extremely sensitive to energy because that's how they survive. They read energy better than they listen to words. So when yours changes, when it becomes grounded, calm, and self-focused, they panic. They can sense that your spirit is no longer available for their drama. And that silent change becomes your force field. Energetic boundaries aren't about physical space. You could be sitting in the same room as them, and they'll still feel it. Why? Because your spirit has stepped back. Your emotional door is closed. You've unplugged from their system. You're no longer trying to fix, please, or explain. And that silence, that spiritual strength, it stings. Narcissists don't just feed on arguments and attention. They feed on your energy, your confusion, your care. When you stop giving those things, they become like a thief locked out of a house with nothing to steal. They'll knock. They'll try to charm their way back in. They'll test your boundaries with fake apologies or sudden vulnerability. But this time, you're protected, not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to guard your peace. You see, energetic boundaries don't require permission. They don't need to be explained. They're made through choice. Every time you choose peace over reaction, you're strengthening the wall. Every time you choose to walk away instead of getting pulled into a fight, you're reinforcing your shield. And the more you practice it, the stronger you get. It doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you honor your feelings enough not to hand them to someone who misuses them. That's growth. That's healing. That's spiritual maturity. To the narcissist, it feels like rejection. It feels like losing control. But to you, it feels like breathing again. It feels like freedom. You're not just cutting someone off, you're reclaiming your energy. You're saying, this light is mine, and not everyone gets access to it anymore. That's not cruel, that's sacred. And once you've built that energetic boundary, you'll start to notice something incredible. Peace becomes your default. Your nervous system relaxes, your thoughts become clearer, your soul feels lighter. And even though the narcissist may try to return, they can't get in because they don't match your frequency anymore. Your energy now says, I am not available for games, I am not available for manipulation, I am available for peace, purpose, and truth. And that frequency repels but because they can no longer control you, they can't pull you back in with fake apologies or guilt trips, they can't shake your calm with their drama, and that drives them crazy because now you're standing in your power, unbothered, untouchable, and spiritually protected. This kind of detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about your peace more than their chaos. It means you're choosing healing over hurt. And that choice, that silent, strong decision to protect your soul, that is spiritual warfare at its highest level. So never doubt the power of detachment. You don't need revenge. You don't need to win an argument. You just need to let go and let your silence shake their world. There is something incredibly powerful that happens when a chosen one begins to walk in their divine purpose. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's unshakable. When you discover who you are, why you were created, what your soul is here to do, you become focused in a way the narcissist can't understand. And in that focus, they lose their grip on you. See, narcissists control through distraction. They want you constantly questioning yourself, constantly caught up in their drama, constantly shifting your energy to fix them or make them happy. But when you begin living your purpose, your energy shifts from their chaos to your calling. Suddenly the things they used to do, the manipulation, the guilt, the gaslighting, don't work anymore. Why? Because your eyes are no longer on them. They're on something bigger. You are being pulled forward by purpose, not pushed around by pain. When you're walking in purpose, you stop needing validation from broken people. You stop waiting for love from people who only know how to use. You begin to value your time, your peace, and your mission. And the narcissist can feel that shift. You're not available like you used to be. You're not reactive. You're not stuck in that emotional loop anymore. You've risen above it. Purpose creates clarity, and clarity cuts through confusion like a sword. You see things for what they really are. You no longer mistake control for love. You no longer fall for empty words. You trust the voice inside you more than the noise around you. And that, to a narcissist, is terrifying, because they only have power when you're lost, when you don't know who you are. But once you know your purpose, once you understand your worth, you become unreachable. The things that used to break you now bounce off your spirit. The lies they told no longer define you. You're too focused on building something real, something eternal. That's why living your purpose is not just healing, it's warfare. It destroys every lie they built around you. It silences every voice that tried to keep you small. It sends a message. I'm no longer controlled by fear. I'm driven by destiny. So if you want to truly break free from a narcissist's grip, don't just leave. Rise. Rise into who you're meant to be. Walk boldly in your calling. Let your purpose speak louder than their manipulation. You don't need to scream. You don't need to fight. Just live your truth. That alone will shake their world. Because at the end of the day, your divine purpose was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be fulfilled. And once you step into it, nothing and no one can hold you down again. There's something magnetic about a person who walks in truth. Their light is soft but strong, calm but powerful. And when a chosen one shows up in full authenticity, no mask, no fear, no need to impress, it shakes people, especially narcissists. Why? Because your light exposes their shadows. Narcissists survive by pretending. They build fake versions of themselves to look strong, confident, or successful. But when someone walks in truth like you do, that fake image starts to crack. Your peace makes their chaos obvious. Your honesty makes their lies uncomfortable. Your confidence makes their insecurity rise to the surface. And suddenly, standing next to your light, they feel small, irrelevant, fake. That's why they act triggered around you. Not because you did something wrong, but because your light reminds them of everything they're not. You didn't even have to say anything. Your presence alone makes them feel seen in ways they don't want to be. Because truth naturally exposes what's hidden. And when someone is living in the dark, filled with manipulation, shame, ego, and control, they can't stand to be in the light for too long. Your authenticity is loud without shouting. It reveals without accusing. It breaks through without even trying. And for someone who has built their whole life around being untouchable, that kind of realness is terrifying. So don't dim your light to make them comfortable. Don't shrink to protect their shadows. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to stand out. You were made to reflect truth, love, and purpose. And if that triggers someone's darkness, let it. That's not your burden to carry. There comes a moment when something deep inside you changes. You start healing, you start growing. You're no longer the same person who used to react to every insult, every guilt trip, or every lie. And that change, that energy shift, is what narcissists fear the most, because once your energy becomes calm, confident, and clean, it becomes toxic. Proof. It's like the poison they use to feed you just stops working. You no longer get triggered. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to fix them or fix the relationship. You simply start living from a place of truth and peace. And that scares them more than anything. You see, narcissists don't just fear losing control, they fear being seen. And your healed energy is like a bright light that exposes their darkness. When you stop engaging in their games, they can no longer hide behind charm, manipulation, or fake kindness. Suddenly they're standing alone with nothing to feed on. Your new energy, rooted in self-love and spiritual growth, repels everything fake, including them. They feel uncomfortable around you now. They feel powerless because your calmness reveals their chaos. Your joy highlights their misery. Your confidence makes their insecurity obvious, and they hate that. They might try harder to pull you back into the drama. They may guilt you, shame you, or try to love bomb you again. But your energy knows better now. You've changed on the inside, and that change speaks louder than any words. That's why you don't even need to argue anymore. You just be. You show up with healed energy, and the narcissist, who once felt like a giant, starts to shrink. Not because you fought them, but because your peace is something they can't touch, fake, or destroy. So never underestimate your energy shift. When you heal, when you grow, when you finally know your worth, you don't just walk away, but you rise, and that silent rise, that's what the narcissist fears the most. One of the most powerful things a chosen one can do is nothing at all. Just stand still, just stay calm, just stop reacting. And that stillness becomes a mirror, a reflection so clear, the narcissist has no choice but to see their true self. See, narcissists are used to chaos. They live for reactions, arguments, and control. They want you to explode, cry, defend, and lose yourself in their games. Why? Because when you react, you become the problem in their story. But the moment you stop reacting, the story breaks. Suddenly, they're standing alone in front of the truth. And it's not pretty. When you don't play their game, you remove the mask from their face without even touching them. Your silence becomes a mirror. And in that reflection, they see everything they've been hiding, their lies, their manipulation, their fear of being exposed. It's painful for them, not because you said anything, but because you didn't. Your lack of response forces them to look inward. And that's the one place a narcissist never wants to go. Most of the time, they've spent their whole lives blaming others. But when a chosen one stops reacting, there's no one left to blame. Just silence, just truth, just that uncomfortable feeling in their chest that says, "You've been seen." And that's terrifying for them because deep down, narcissists are broken. They wear fake confidence to cover deep shame. And when you reflect that back at them, not through yelling, but through peace, they feel it. They feel the cracks forming in the mask. This is the mirror effect. It doesn't require shouting. It doesn't require proving anything. It only requires stillness, truth, and strength. So if you've ever wondered how doing nothing could be so powerful, remember this. Your calm spirit is a mirror. And in that mirror, the narcissist finally sees what they've been running from all along, themselves. There is a moment in every chosen one's journey when they stop begging, stop explaining, and stop reacting. That moment is called emotional detachment, and it is one of the strongest forms of spiritual warfare. Because when you detach emotionally from a narcissist, you cut the invisible cords they use to feed on. Narcissists don't just want your time, they want your emotional energy. They need your reactions, your pain, your confusion, your constant effort to fix the relationship. But when you stop giving them those emotions, they start to unravel. Why? Because peace is poison to a narcissist. You see, narcissists are addicted to drama. They thrive in chaos. They push your buttons so you explode, and then they act like you're the problem. But when you become emotionally detached, those buttons stop working. You no longer react to their games. You no longer care about their approval. You stop dancing in the circle of confusion they've created. Instead, you choose peace. You choose stillness. You choose you. And that's what destroys their power without a word. To the narcissist, your emotional detachment feels like abandonment, not because they love you. Like their games don't bother you at all. That's when you truly destroy them. It's called indifference, and it's more powerful than shouting or arguing. Indifference means you don't care anymore. You don't chase, you don't explain, and you don't try to prove anything. You just live your life peacefully and confidently. And that makes the narcissist feel invisible. To them, being ignored is the ultimate insult. It's like starving a fire. Without fuel, it dies out. When a chosen one becomes emotionally unavailable to a narcissist, they take away the one thing the narcissist depends on: control over your feelings. Suddenly, the narcissist's tricks stop working. Their gaslighting, their drama, their mind games, none of it matters anymore. You've taken back your power just by not caring. And the narcissist, they're left confused, frustrated, and powerless. So remember, you don't need to fight back. Just stop feeding the fire. Your silence, your peace, and your indifference are weapons they can't handle. You know what really hurts a narcissist? Watching you grow without them, not hearing you argue, not seeing you break down, but seeing you glow up in silence. When you stop trying to prove your worth and instead focus on becoming your best self, you take back every piece of power they tried to steal. You're not begging, you're not chasing, you're building, you're healing, you're glowing. That's the kind of revenge that doesn't need words. Narcissists hate it when they realize you don't need them to be happy, successful, or at peace. Your glow up becomes a mirror, showing them exactly what they lost and what they can never control again. Every time you choose to improve instead of react, you're showing the world and the narcissist that you've outgrown the chaos. You're focused on your peace, your purpose, and your future. And that quiet confidence speaks louder than any argument ever could. While they're stuck playing mind games, you're building something real, your life. So yes, keep glowing. Stay silent. Let your peace be the loudest thing they hear. Because when you glow up and shut up, you don't just walk away, you rise above, and that is the one thing a narcissist can never fake or take. Most people think going silent means you've given up or that you're too weak to fight. But in reality, silence is one of the most powerful moves you can make, especially when dealing with a narcissist. When you go no contact, you're not running away. You're choosing peace over chaos. You're choosing your sanity over drama. And that kind of silence isn't empty, it's full of strength. That's why we call it a super weapon, because it hits harder than any words ever could. Narcissists feed on your attention, your reactions, and your emotions. The more you engage, even if you're defending yourself or explaining your side, the more power they feel. But the moment you cut off all contact, no texts, no calls, no social media checking, no reacting at all, you take away their supply. It's like turning off the oxygen to their ego. They can't breathe without your energy, and that drives them absolutely mad. What most people don't realize is that no contact is not about punishment, it's about protection. You're not doing it to get revenge, you're doing it to heal, to grow, and to take your life back. It's a boundary that says, I'm no longer available for manipulation, lies, and games. And that message is loud even if you never say a word. At first, the narcissist might laugh or act like they don't care. They'll try to bait you with fake kindness, guilt, or even anger. They might stalk your social media, send flying monkeys, their loyal followers, to get updates on you or try to create situations that force a response. But the longer you stay silent, the more desperate they become. They realize they're no longer in control. And that's when your silence becomes the loudest message of all. You see, no contact isn't about being cold. It's about being free. It's about breaking a toxic cycle that was never going to lead to anything good. It's about creating space for your healing and peace. Every day that you stay no contact, you are reminding your spirit that you matter. You're building strength, confidence, and emotional clarity. And here's the best part. While the narcissist is scrambling for control, you're rising. Quietly, strongly, beautifully. You're learning to enjoy your own company again. You're finding joy in things that were once clouded by their negativity. You're starting to feel light again because that heavy energy is gone. So don't ever let anyone tell you that silence is weakness. It's not. Silence is power. Silence is peace. And silence, when used by a chosen one, is a storm in disguise. It's calm on the outside, but inside, it's a complete shift in power. You don't need to shout, argue, or prove anything. Just walk away, stay silent, and watch how the world changes when you choose yourself over their chaos.